Alright, so in this video, I ranked all the Blue Lock first selection teams from worst to best. The way I'm ranking these teams are from how they were in the first selection. Anything that happened after the first selection will not count. But if anything happened before the first selection, obviously I would take it into consideration. Okay, but anyways, let's get into my list. In last place is Team W. This team's key players are the Wanama brothers, and their weapon is their passing offense between each other. When it comes down to the letter rankings, this team is ranked as the second best team, but they didn't live up to the hype, tying Team Z while cheating. After getting eliminated, the more bulkier brother moved on since he had the most goals. But unfortunately, he is doomed without his other brother, since they rely on each other to use their weapons, unless he can find someone else who can play the same type of soccer as his brother. In fourth place is Team X. This team arguably has a top 5 striker in the Blue Lock program right now, but that is also the downfall of this team, since that top 5 player is Baru Choi, and at this point in time, Baru was only interested in playing his type of soccer where he takes the lead role of the team. So if Baru wasn't playing good, then the whole team wasn't playing good. And Baru was very inconsistent at this point in time because he was missing a lot of his weapons he got from being on Isagi's team. This is why Team X is ranked 4th out of the 5, because of the inconsistency of Baru. In third place is Team Y. This is debatable between X and Y for third place, but personally I think Team Y is better than Team X because instead of having 1 star player, they have 2 star players. But they also don't rely on each other, so if one's having a bad game, they would still have a chance of winning. The 2 strikers on this team is Nico and Okawa. Okawa is best at scoring, and Nico is best at his tactics and defense. We see Nico use his tactics and defense all throughout the game versus Team Z by blocking shots and confusing Team Z. And we see Okawa's scoring ability scoring the first goal of the game and going on a solo run, keeping Team Z defenders on their heels. Team Y was eliminated, so like Baru and Big Brother Wanama, only the top scorer moved on. And Nico was the top scorer, so he moved on to the second selection. Nico probably used his tactics so Okawa would get less chances to score compared to him when he realized Team Y wasn't going to make it past the first selection. But in my opinion, Okawa is a very underrated player. He is known as Sano's star player, which was pointed out by Ryosuke Kira in Chapter 1. The reason why Team X blew out Team Z and Team Y didn't was because Team Z wasn't working together and were fighting over the ball, while Team Y had to play a more regrouped Team Z, who also had a game plan made by Kuon.
Hey, let's pass to Bottle and keep these clowns off his back. See how the other team's having a total meltdown? Instead of going for individual goals, we need to win as a whole.
Team Z was a lot more prepared, but Team Y had the lead and the momentum for most of the game. But unfortunately, at the end of the game, they choked, and Team Z won. In second place, this team is loaded, having 7 players still in Blue Lock, but we aren't counting anything after the first selection. The team I'm talking about is Team Z. The reason why they're number 2 and not number 1 is because they haven't leveled up in the story so far. But it's almost like there's too much talent on this team, but not a number 1 guy who can lead the team. At this point in the story, obviously all these guys can lead a team after the first selection once they unlock their abilities, but right now they're still figuring things out. In my opinion, the closest thing this team had to a leader was Kuon before he betrayed the team. The biggest mistake this team made was probably eliminating Ryosuke Kira, who was probably going to be that number 1 option but also the leader. If they eliminated that monk guy instead of eliminating Ryosuke Kira, in my opinion everything would have worked better and everyone would have developed quicker. Because of Kira's skill, they would have had more wins, and because of Kira's attitude, they would have had a leader and someone to chase after when it comes down to skills. At the end, we kind of see them do this with Isagi after he was ranked the number 1 player on the team, but you can still tell that they weren't taking him serious as the number 1 guy. And you see this more after the first selection when Kunigami and Chigiri are surprised about how much Isagi improved, almost like they were expecting they would already be better than him. Ryosuke Kira would have been perfect since he encourages his team, and we see this a lot in episode 1 until he gets eliminated in episode 2. Ego's plan with this team was definitely to have Ryosuke Kira lead it while changing his ideas of soccer. That would make sense of why he was so disappointed in Kira when he got eliminated, and it would also make sense on why there was no number 1 guy compared to the other teams.
This trio has managed 18 goals over 3 games. Their team's gone undefeated thanks to their incredible ferocity on the attack. Zantetsu Tsurugi, 5 goals. Reo Mikage, 6 goals. and Team V's top scorer, Seishiro Nagi, with 7 goals.
And finally, the number 1 team in the first selection was Team V. They are ranked the highest and also play like the best team. They also have the best stats out of the 5 teams, slowing out every team until finally losing to Team Z. Team Z definitely unfairly won that game with Kuon's red card, tackling Nagi before he could end the game with his goal, which gave Team Z a chance to come back and win. Even though Kuon didn't play in the game, he wouldn't have done anything since he doesn't stand out of the team, and he would have struggled keeping up with Team V, and he would have definitely been playing defense, so he wouldn't have contributed to any goals. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that his team doesn't trust him. Now that I've gotten that out the way, the best player on Team V was Nagi with 7 goals before the Team Z game, which is the same amount of goals that Team Z has together as a team. Nagi's best ability, in my opinion, is his athleticism, and he's pretty much good at everything. The only thing is, at this time, you have to tell him what to do before he does it, because he's so lazy and nothing drives him at this point in time. Their second best player is Reo, who has 6 goals, even though his best ability at this time is his passing. And their third best player is very underrated, and it's Zantetsu with 5 goals. And Zantetsu's ability is his speed, and also his mid-range shot. He's almost like if you combine Kunigami and Chigiri. Together before the Team Z game, these 3 had 18 goals. But if you want to count the Team Z game, together they had 22 goals, which is ridiculous, but this big 3 is the reason why Team V is ranked as number 1. But thank you guys for watching, and if you guys have an opinion on the first selection, please leave a comment.